Hey guys, welcome back, it's Ripe again. In today's video, an entitled realtor constantly trespassed on my property and showed it to willing buyers without my permission. She claimed she is the owner of my 115-year-old farmland. Here is what happened. Let's dive right into the story. I had a problem a while back with a Karen that I want to share with all of you as entertainment and maybe a cautionary tale. The only thing I really want to preface this story with is that before all of this crap happened, I never met Karen and never associated with her real estate agency. With that out of the way, we will jump into the action. As stated previously, Karen was a real estate agent and for some reason was really out to sell my farm. Not in the usual way of trying to offer me money or talk me into it, saying it would be an amazing deal where I would end up rich. No, that would be far too normal for the brand of crazy this Karen seemed to be. Instead, she wanted to just start showing my farm to buyers like she already had the rights to sell it. At first I didn't even realize that she didn't plan to give me any of the profit for it until I had a conversation the second time I chased her off my property. I let the first time slide thinking she made a mistake or got the wrong address. Me, why are you back here? I already told you that my farm is not up for sale. Karen, you don't really get to make a decision like that, seeing as you are squatting on the property. Me, squatting? I own this farm. My grandpa left it to me in his will after he passed away. I've been running it for the last year and a half. Karen, you mean running an illegal business on my property? You sure have been. For that I could end up sending you to jail, but if you're willing to just leave, I can sell the place and it won't need to be that serious. You do know how dangerous it can be in jail, don't you? Me, I have the deed to the farm, which by the way, has been in my family for over 115 years. So don't try and claim that you owned it first, unless your makeup job is just that good. Your fancy suit and lies don't scare me. Karen, well, how about these documents stating the sale of the land towards me? What do you think about that? I look at what she handed me and see right away that there was no way in hell my grandfather could have signed that document. Not only wasn't that his handwriting, but it was perfectly on the line. And let me tell you two things about my grandpa. The first is that he spent his entire life working on a farm and never learned how to read or write. He could spell simple things like his name, but when it came to signing, he would just scribble. That also meant for him to sign this document understanding what it said, he would have needed a lawyer present. The second thing about my grandpa was that for the last 2 years of his life he was pretty much blind. Couldn't work anymore, couldn't cook for himself, just nothing. If he tried to sign, there was no way he would have stayed on the line. And this document was dated only 6 months before he died. I knew it was a load of crap, but didn't want to let Karen in on the reasons that I knew it. I just told her that it was fake and to stay the hell off of my property, because next time I would call the police on her. That threat lasted exactly 3 days before she tried to show more people the farm, and the police were called by me to come and remove her. They did make her leave, but told me that since we are both staking claim to the land, it would more than likely end up going to the courts and I should get a lawyer before I am rushing for one. I took the advice and hired somebody to make sure that Karen was not gonna just steal my land because she was from the city and I was a stereotypical looking farm boy. She had a letter sent to me from a lawyer's office stating that I had 30 days to leave the farm and hand over the deed that I stole from her, or I would be arrested for trespassing and theft. It was now or never, so I had my lawyer do what he needed in order to start a lawsuit against Karen for trying to steal my farm. I wanted to get a jump on and sue her before she could sue me, because I thought it would give me an upper hand or something. Don't take legal advice from me though, I know nothing. Due to the lawsuit, everything else was on hold, so she couldn't just kick me out of my home while I was waiting for a judge to have an opening. It took a few months, but we did manage to get in the courts, and as expected, Karen had her fake documents as her evidence to owning the farm, while I had the deed on my side. That was until I got to make my claim that the documents were fake and allowed to explain why I believed that to be true. I had written testimony from his doctor about his blindness, along with various others agreeing that he couldn't see or understand the paperwork that was being put in front of him. I did not even need to bring up the fact that he was illiterate. When she heard that he was blind, wow, I never saw somebody pale that quickly. All the color just gone from her face the moment she realized that she might be getting exposed. My lawyer also asked for her side to bring any other form of purchasing proof like the actual exchange of money. Because I brought my grandfather's bank records and there was no large influx of cash from when she claims she bought it. They did not bring any proof or bank documents despite the request, which just gave us another point over her. After listening to everything, the judge was more than convinced that I owned the farm and that Karen was trying to steal and sell it to make a profit. The trouble she got in was for more than just trying to sneak onto my property with some potential buyers. She either forged or purchased forged documents for her property sale. That is a federal crime, as is lying about it in a court of law. She was now facing criminal charges due to that, and they were looking over all the sales she made in the last 5 years. They were looking for the smallest things that didn't look right to try and add it onto her charges. I don't actually know if they found her guilty or anything else, or found more documents or money stolen. That was not part of the lawsuit that I was paying attention to, so I was not actually there or involved for it. Still, the federal charge was enough to send her to jail. And well, I guess nobody else needs to tell her how dangerous it can be in jail, right? And here, ripe stars, it is kind of insane to see how people can be this entitled and think that they can simply steal your property from under your nose without you doing anything. It is good that OP taught Karen a lesson. Either way, if you enjoyed the story, please don't forget to like the video and maybe even post a comment, because that would help me tremendously. Thank you so much, and the next one is a malicious compliance story. So I run a gardening business and I also do a fair bit of reticulation work. I have several real estate agents that I do regular work for, whom, because they are good clients, I waive the call-out fees for. The agents know this and appreciate it. Most reticulation companies charge $80 call-out fees. I get asked to fix the reticulation at a property, and I am warned that the tenant is a little odd and to ring him the day before I arrive. I do this, but there is no answer. So I swing past the next day and the tenant is sitting out the front of his house. "Hi, I'm here to fix the sprinklers." "No, go away. It's not gonna cost you anything. It's all organized through the owners." "I don't care. You're not coming onto my property. I will call the police if you try." "That's fine. I will come back when you leave." I was informed that the tenant would be moving out in a month's time. I then rang the real estate and told them what had happened. "Yeah, he's been doing that to all the tradies we sent there," was their reply. "We will send you again when he moves out next month. Just be sure to charge 2 call-out fees and we will take it all out of his bond." In short, a man makes life difficult for real estate agents by refusing to let tradies into his house. Real estate responds by telling tradies to just bill them the call-out fees twice, and I score an extra $160. The real estate told me he did the same thing to an electrician. God knows how much 2 of those call-out fees were. And the next one is an entitled parent's story. So I am a 43-year-old IT guy, divorced with 2 kids. My daughter is 9 and my son is 7. I am a member of a yacht club and own a smallish 34 Bavaria cruiser from 2008. Next to my kids, she is my pride and joy. Every year I take 3 weeks vacation along with my kids and we go cruising for the better part of those 3 weeks. We have a small dinghy that basically serves as our pickup truck and food haul. Now, because of the pandemic, we couldn't go anywhere outside our home country, so we said F it, we'll be tourists in our own country. And went for a cruise to all the small cozy harbors we normally don't see. So, cruises ago, my son knows about the lines and knows how to dock and whatnot. My daughter is the dinghy skipper during this, she loves that thing, and we always have our club pennant flying as well as the Jolly Roger. Jolly Roger means kids on board, come play. We leave our home port and spend a day and night at sea to get the sea legs growing and sharpen up on our boating drills. Retired Navy, I cannot help it. On our 3rd day we arrive at a smallish marina, roughly 200 berths. In my country, calling a head-on VHF is not a thing, so the only thing to do is either going in with the boat or send in the dinghy to spot for a berth. Now, occupied berths are marked with a red sign, available is a green sign. My kids know this and are also learning to spot a fitting berth. Our boat is 3.6 meters wide and berths are different in width. So the trick is to spot a berth wider than 3.6 but not wider than 4 meters, because that's the golden difference. Any berth wider than 4 meters costs a ton of money and is meant for bigger boats. Well, Captain Dinghy was volunteering as always to scout ahead while I and the XO were watching from just outside the inlet. She is equipped with, of course, life jacket radio, not VHF since that requires a certificate, and a good idea on how wide 3.6 meters really is. Our dinghy happens to be 3.5 meters long, so as long as she can fit the dinghy from end to end between the posts, it fits, including the engine. Now, most people that hang around marinas are used to seeing children in dinghies and would not raise an eyebrow over a 9-year-old girl in a small dinghy wearing a life jacket and looking for empty berths. However, not all people are like that, which we would soon find out. She found one and radioed that back saying, "I've got one, Daddy, it's the Jeep here and I'm waiting for you here, over." I reply with, "Good job, en route now, Daddy out." The owners of the boats on either side are the caring, nice older couples, and especially the portside neighbors are completely stunned by Captain Dingy and her professionalism. They are small talking when we arrive to the berth and help mooring, for which I pay with a cold beer and a soda for the kids. Happy days all around. On the opposite side of the pier, a couple of boats are also flying the Jolly Roger, so the kids are off after a quick lunch. The berth directly opposite us is also available, but knowing from experience that will soon change, and how right I was. Later in the afternoon we saw the arrival of HMS Karen and her sailing circus. They arrived while the nice grandparents next door and I were discussing nice marinas to visit, and as a matter of course, we stood by to help receive lines and help with mooring. To simplify their docking, it was a crap show. They had a trimaran, 3 hulls, the outer 2 can retract when you dock and extend when you sail. They knew nothing about the boat, so clearly a rental boat. After 5 or 6 attempts of docking with one side retracted, other side retracted, no side retracted, full power plus screaming all around. The harbor master even came down to join us. Now we stand 8 guys plus 1 harbor master and just looking, what the F are you doing? Even my 7-year-old son comes by with some new friends and goes, "Are they for real?" Grandma Port quickly provided some ice and some soda for the kids. She was amazing. We managed to convince them, the wrecking crew, to throw us the forward lines and we could pull them in after they retracted both pontoons. This took the better part of 1.5 hours, and when they finally docked, they acted like they invented boating. Now, I know that docking in a foreign port can be quite difficult, but when you need 8 people to help you, one might keep a low profile. Not that couple though. They were totally clueless about how to get shore power, water, and how to register with the harbor master, who happened to stand right in front of them when they docked. The harbor master is now trying to guide how to register, what to do regarding the shore power and water. And boy did they listen. HMS Karen started full yelling about how they have paid a lot of money to rent that boat and how they expected harbor fees to be included in the rent. And to threaten to report the harbor master to the rental company they used and to get him fired for trying to extort money from them. After her endless monologue, there were about 8 to 10 guys laughing. The harbor master just looked at them and went, "Okay, these are the rules. Each marina requires a fee for docking. That fee covers power, water, and the space you occupy. It includes access to bathrooms, cooking facilities, and cleaning. Your rental company does not own any marina. Is that clear?" The circus husband understood but failed to convey the last part to HMS Karen. Something we found out later the next morning. Next morning we prepared to go underway. Kids are saying goodbye to their new friends and my son is pampered with cookies from Grandma Port and Starboard, broken hearts from the young girls in the marina. He's got blonde hair with curls and green eyes, a true heartbreaker. And Captain Dingy is getting ready to go underway. She is dressed in the uniform for the part, unicorn PJ pants, swimwear and life jacket, so here is where the title comes into play. We are finishing our stay, meaning pulling our shore power cable, testing lights and system. Testing our boat thruster and prop, VHF and dinghy, while I'm staying at the stern ready to single up the lines so my curly-haired XO will have an easy job, HMS Karen comes running up to me. HMS Karen, what are you doing? Me, good morning, we'll get underway now. We're going to island recommended by Grandma Port. Enjoy your stay here. HMS, what? You cannot leave? Me, I'm pretty sure I can. Why wouldn't I? HMS, because we want that boat. Me, what? You want my boat? Ha, lady, my boat is not for sale. So excuse me, we have to go. No, all boats are property of the rental company. And we called them yesterday and chartered that boat. Now hand it over or else. Me, lady, you are nuts. To XO, clear forward lines. To CD, meet up outside the marina docking starboard side. Now, we are not attached to the marina anymore and my son is rolling up the bow lines, and when HMS tries to grab the push pit to keep us in the marina, well, she lost that battle. Me, all stop, man overboard! She came up yelling and screaming. Starboard Granddad guided her on board their boat and asked her what the hell she was doing, while Port Granddad called the harbor master. Me, is she okay? Both Granddads, yes, we got her, enjoy your trip, we will see you in port. We leave and head for the port, and oh boy, did I hope she was a one-time Karen. And yeah, ripe stars, unfortunately, I very much think that she is not a one-time Karen. Clearly, she is a lifetime Karen. There's no doubt about that. Anyway, the next one is an Am I the A-hole story. Am I the a-hole for not spoiling my wife? I can afford to take my wife on expensive vacations. However, she is just an incredible pain in the ass when I do so. I've taken my wife on some really amazing trips in my opinion, and every single time she has spent the entire trip complaining, so therefore I have given up. I now either let her plan our vacations with zero input from me, or I plan nice local stays for us. For example, I will get us VIP concert tickets and a very nice hotel in the center so we can have a great evening. When she plans our vacations, they are pretty basic. She planned a trip to Hawaii, which I thoroughly enjoyed, but we didn't do anything great. I would have planned a helicopter trip to see all the volcanoes and jungles from the movies. However, we mostly stayed in Honolulu and saw Pearl Harbor. I honestly didn't realize it, but it has been 5 years since I took my wife somewhere I would consider amazing. That was a 2-week trip to Iceland. She recently asked me why I took vacations with my friends and family that everyone talked about all year long, but when we went on vacation it was a weekend in Branson. I told her that I just know that she does not enjoy extravagant trips. She said she totally does. So I pointed out everything she said about all our trips. I said it was disheartening spending a month planning something great only for her to spend the entire time crapping on it and then telling everyone how bad a time she had. She said I was an a-hole for keeping score and now I am sleeping in the guest house. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? And yeah, ripe stars, let me know in the comments what you think about this. Either way, someone on Reddit said, you sound similar to your wife. She planned a trip to Hawaii, which I thoroughly enjoyed, but we didn't do anything great. Comment number 2, everyone sucks here. You both sound like you complain about the others' planned vacations, and you both sound exhausting. Comment number 3, everyone sucks here. Your wife and you sound exhausting to be around, keeping score, complaining about each other's choices, and frankly, it seems like you have terrible communication between each other. If she did not like the vacations you planned, it would have been a good idea to ask why she didn't. It was not obvious from your post that you did. And now let's move on to the next story. It starts like this. Has anybody else realized the irony of Karens constantly screaming about their freedom to do what they want, but also love going after veterans? I was on a flight a few weeks ago and came across a Karen that I was having serious problems with. It actually started before we even got on the plane and we were waiting in the gate area. Boarding has a certain way of doing things to keep it organized and fair, and one of those things is getting disabled passengers on the plane as one of the first groups. When we were called to get in line, Karen stopped me right away. I guess she thought she was doing the world a favor by stopping a guy that was not disabled from getting on the plane early. The thing is, and what I told her was, I actually was disabled and had all the paperwork for early seating. I told her I was in the right line and she just gave me the thing I get all the time, the full body look. The look that people give that says they cannot actually see a disability. When I was in the military I got hurt and the result ended up being rods and screws keeping my leg basically together. Because of this I cannot really bend my knee, and once people see me walk they realize their mistake. I guess for Karen she either was not seeing me walk or thought I was faking it. I got on the plane though and figured that my issues with Karen were over. What were the odds of her getting seated near me, right? Well, actually, she was not seated anywhere near me as I saw the area around me fill up. I was in a seat that had extra legroom because again, I cannot bend my knee. I heard yelling near the back of the plane, and while I could not see it, I could tell by the voice that it was the Karen I dealt with before earlier. Then she was right in front of me again for round 2. The only difference was I did not have any escape from her possible. Karen, this seat. I wanna sit here instead of back there. There is no room and it smells like the bathrooms where you put me. This spot has plenty of space and this guy can just take my seat in the back of the plane. Before the stewardess could say anything, I decided to jump right in myself. I know they have to be polite no matter what, but I had no obligation to. Actually no, I won't be switching places with you or anybody else. You ordered your seat and knew exactly where it was before you got on the plane. It was not a surprise you just thought you could throw a fit and get a more expensive seat for free. I have zero tolerance for people like her and have no issues showing it. I did not have to raise my voice or anything though. I am able to get my point across and how serious I am with the tone and face alone. Karen, it is not fair that he gets to sit here when he broke the rules to board early. He should be punished and his seat taken away. Me, I'm disabled, and if you took one more minute to get your head out of your own butt, you would have seen that. I physically cannot sit anywhere else, and even if I had to pay extra to get a seat to accommodate me, you can turn around and get back in your assigned seat now, because I can guarantee no matter what you say won't result in you getting mine. This must have really pissed Karen off, because her face got really red and I thought she was going to do something stupid, aka really cool, that could go viral. Sadly, she just kept talking, thinking that whatever she would say would help. Karen, I will have you know that unlike a bum who sits and collects disability checks, I actually help this country. I work and put money into the economy, money that without giving means that you would be homeless. I know people like you that try and scam the government, saying that you're disabled when really you're just lazy and want to sit on your ass all day. Why don't you try and tell me one thing that you have done for anybody? Me, just one? Well, it would be hard to pick between fighting overseas and getting my leg destroyed in the process, volunteering to help other veterans that are just coming back and don't know how to cope, or maybe also going across the country to help take care of my mother. And side note, I actually have a job and don't receive any disability, but that just never came up in my mini rant. Karen looked like she just sucked on a spicy lemon, and the stewardess was telling her that she had to go back to her seat. If she had just turned around and walked, this whole story would have been over. Instead though, she decided to call me a fake cripple and spat right in my face. Luckily, masks are still needed on planes, at least where I was, and unluckily it missed that whole area and got me on the forehead. Now it was my turn to be angry because, believe it or not, I was playing nice before. I told the stewardess that I wanted the air marshal on the flight alerted that I was pressing charges of assault against Karen. You might not think it, but technically spitting on somebody can be considered assault. It usually does not hold up as anything, so she would not go to jail, but that was not my real goal. The air marshal came and told her because of the problem and what she did, she was no longer able to take this flight. She was dragged out of the airplane and could not do anything about it. She mentioned before to somebody that she was going on vacation and now she was not going to be able to make this flight. I also know from looking at the flight information that she was not going to be able to get another one until the next day. This meant that anything she had planned was going to get screwed up, from her hotel reservation to any kind of tickets or passes that she bought for the first day. It might have not been the biggest case of revenge in the world, but sometimes you have to work with what you are given. I was not the only happy person in this situation, because keep in mind where we were. This was going to be an 8-hour plane ride and she already had painted a target on herself as being a problem. We were late for takeoff because of her and nobody was going to want to listen to a Karen complaining the entire time. Planes are uncomfortable enough as it is, nobody wants to deal with a fully grown woman throwing a fit and making it even more unpleasant. I got a few people around me thanking me for my service and even met another veteran across the aisle who I talked to for a while. Apparently, the stewardess was given permission to give me my soda for free because of the trouble that the other passenger caused me. You can imagine that a trip like this, having my disability, is never pleasant. I'm glad that at least after the whole situation was dealt with, some people made it a little less horrible. Cheers to everybody else on that flight, and to Karen, all I can say is, you're lucky that I physically cannot put my boot up your bum. And with this, we have reached the end of the video. However, if you cannot get enough of my content, please check out my endless playlist, where you can find thousands of hours of content. In addition, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel to not miss any of my daily uploads. Thank you so much in advance, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.